Welcome to Martial Arts Explorer, exploring practical techniques as derived from classical martial arts of all styles. I'm Scott Combs. We want to know if you've ever used non-combative techniques to avoid a fight. Please send us your story. Our email address is explorer@martialartsexplorer.tv. Now, we're really happy and excited to announce that Senior Master Instructor Chris Thomas will appear once a month in Martial Arts Explorer, teaching whatever he feels like teaching. As far as I'm concerned, he could recite the congressional record, but he's promised to confine his comments to the martial arts. Recently, we were invited to a training day at Chosun Black Belt Academy in Franklin, Wisconsin. Master Thomas taught a seminar on basics at a Taekwondo school that is just in the beginning stages of learning how we interpret forms.
So I want to start with a pretty easy one. I need a body just for a second. Actually, Mike, let's use you. One of the things that happens a lot is, I mean, there are all kinds of different confrontations. Do you understand? But it's not uncommon to be grabbed like this. Somebody's grabbing your arms. And what we're going to do is really easy. You go, first you pretend you're E.T. from the movie, right? Remember, let go for a second. E.T. goes, ah! Right? But notice when I do this, my elbows stay in. So I don't go, ah, I go, ah. Well, he's grabbing my arm, so I can't do anything with him anyway. But here's why. Here's what most people teach. Doesn't work. Doesn't work. So I go, ah, and then I just do this. That works real good. I went, ah, huh, and all I did was cross my arms. That was all I did. Now, the great thing about this is that it will just absolutely work. It's just that simple. Simple biomechanics. If the person grabbing you is anywhere in the remote range of your size, you win. But there are a couple of tricks to make it more effective. And I'm going to just show you a couple of those right now. So we're going to work with a one-arm grab so you can see this. When I go up here, I'm going to lock in right here by the wrist. And I turn this way. Can you see this pressure on his fingers and on his wrist? If I do that now on both sides, when he grabs, I go, oh. Notice how I step forward slightly on one side because what I wanted to create was uneven pressure. I didn't want it to be perfectly even. I want it to be a little bit uneven. It's by turning that I create a yin and a yang side, right? And it's that's what the body can't take. Same thing, here's a simple expression of yin and yang. Watch this. I'm just going to push on you. Okay? Those were equal. Now watch this. See, that's much harder for his body to take. His body can take equal, can't take unequal. So he grabs me, he's actually grabbing me equal. So I come back unequal. By the way, does this look like anything in your forms? I'm just curious, does it? And what would you do next from here? Oh, yeah, I saw two good answers. One was, I might go like that. And the other was, well, I might go like that. Those are both good answers. So you see that the position is a lot of times this corresponds to what you would call the set or the ready position out of, maybe this or this or this or this. Could be one hand or two hand. So it's actually a very practical piece of the movement you already know. See, on the back of the arm right here, there's a spot where this meridian is called sanjiao, which means the three fires, or we call it triple warmer a lot. Some people call it triple heater. Occasionally you'll see it called thyroid, because it's the primary meridian of your metabolic rate. Sanjiao, triple warmer. Shoots up like this, and it does this little zigzag thing. Where there's a zigzag in a meridian, that's a vulnerability point. And so it's very vulnerable to a very slight rubbing motion. So what I do is as I come up, I'm just going to come across that spot, and then I want to just rub just a teeny bit. I rub in, and then I push across to get a bigger reaction. It's a very small thing. And it just, I come in and across. See that? Here, I'm just doing it with my fingers. Kind of in and across, and I get this body reaction. It doesn't particularly hurt, but what it does is it causes the arms to release a little bit because you've disrupted the flow of energy through the meridian. So some pressure points are really obvious when you touch or hit a pressure point. Someone's like, oh, that's terrible. This one is one of those where that's why it's good, because you sneak in on it and the body's not aware of what you're doing, and yet the body's reacting like, I don't understand. All right, see if you can try that. See if you can find that spot. You kind of want to rub in and across. Go. Or if your hands are on the bottom, you can't hit. But if your hands are on top, you can hit. So you can go, I'm losing them. Boom. But you may also have noticed that it worked the very best when it looked like you were doing something in a form. Like if you found yourself in a really good horse stance, or a really good back stance, or occasionally maybe a good front stance, it was working better. If it felt like you were getting ready to do a move like a chop or an upward, what I call upward counter, then yeah, you get me with my hand coming down. Now take that picture. I'm going to regret that, I can already tell.
Is that on the test?
It's going to be on the internet someday. All right. The more proper your posture is, your stance, your structure, the more relaxed your shoulders are, the more your elbows are in, the more effective you are. So the ironic thing about this stuff is it works better when you do it correctly, but by which I mean form correctly. The structures that are correct for form are the right ones for doing this stuff. Now, sometimes you may find yourself doing the movement. This is very helpful, so I'm giving you helpful information right now. You're doing a movement, you're working on something, going, man, that works really well. You start going, well, you start noticing that your body ends up in a certain place and it works better when you do that. So first ask yourself, okay, you do that, you just kind of get familiar with that, and then you start doing something and you go, wow, it works better if I'm like this or if I'm like this. Then start to look at where you're ending up where it works best. Compare that to the move in the form, and you may find that it's actually a teeny bit different than the way you would do it in the form. Your body just told you the way you're doing it in the form is wrong. So sometimes we do things in forms because somebody told us to do it that way, but because we didn't know what we were doing or why we were doing it, we just did it the way we were taught, but there was no meaning. So we didn't understand it. Our bodies couldn't, there was no intelligence to tell our bodies how it should be, so it was not right. But once you have the intelligence, once you know what it's for, then you start to go, I think what I probably want to do is adjust my stance a certain way and do this because it's going to be stronger.
Now, often when thinking about pressure point fighting, our thoughts immediately move to striking. We've found that many pressure points are quite useful in grabbing, seizing, or grappling applications. For instance, I like using Triple Warmer 17, it's behind the ear on the back of the jaw, in ground fighting situations. All it takes is properly applied pressure to this point and you can pretty easily talk someone into rolling off of you. In a standing clinch, I like to hook stomach 5 to shock and unbalance my attacker so I can put them on the ground more easily. This time, Michael is using a point on the outside of the neck, right about here. Let's see what he has in mind.
Today let's take a look at a cross-handed block. Everybody loves these big two-handed giant blocks going up your head because everybody knows when you're fighting people with baseball bats, you need to do this. Well, in case you're not doing that, something a little more realistic, we're going to go ahead and use this to reach around somebody and collapse and pull them in. Now, we have forms, say, San, and specifically Chinto does it and collapses in, which is really nice in this application. Jordan's going to come in and join me. And we're going to start off the reach or the push with the front hand. Now, we start this way a lot, and sometimes it's good to reiterate. We're doing this because people range find with this hand. He's range finding here because he wants to know how far I am to line me up for this punch, or maybe he's just starting to push me, he's testing me, he's coming in this way. This front hand leads a lot. It could be a finger pointing, whatever the case is. This happens a lot in fights. They start with the front hand coming out. So we react to this. I do not have to wait to get punched before I can defend myself. So as this comes in, all we're gonna do is start an inside parry, and I'm gonna slip in this way on him. Once passed, I'm gonna start to reach around, and I'm gonna bring both hands across. I'm gonna take the bone of my wrist, and we're gonna drive this in to large intestine 18 on the side of his neck, and I use this bone. I'm gonna start low, and I'm gonna crank it up high. I collapse in, and now when I do this, you see the body move. All right, everything bounces really fast. So once again, he's reaching in here. I'm slipping this way. I come in, I pull back, down and in. I grab my own hand in this case, or I can even come through here. All I'm gonna do now is just twist and pull up and in and collapse. And once again, you have the easy takedowns after that. If he's locked up and we're inside of here, I can simply take in this way, I can bump the leg out back, and I can pull him in and down here. A lot of different easy ways you can apply this, but you'll know it once the guy is completely wrapped up, his body is dropping into you, his feet are coming off the ground. From there, he's easy to move. Now, another choice as you do this, when you slip inside, you can come up in triple warmer 17 up in here. So as we come in this way, I can pull up and in here, and notice the body reaction is a little different. He comes up a lot more. If I'm in here and I'm lifting up, his body lifts up. If I'm in large intestine 18, he collapses down and in. This makes a difference on the size of your opponent. With Jordan, I can reach both. If someone is significantly taller than I am, I don't want to do triple warmer 17 and be making someone go above me. I like to hit large intestine 18 and pull them down into me. So some fine points that are going to make a difference when you work with people of different sizes. Thanks, Jordan. So all you have to do in your forms, look for an X block of any type. That's all I am. I'm slipping through, coming into my X block, and I'm pulling in, I'm rubbing the bone edge up and into the body. Let's grab the class and give it a try. All right, we're gonna take a look at an X block, this time out of Chinto, or say San. Any moves where the hands are coming up and over the head or even out in front of your body. We're making this X motion, we're gonna collapse them in. Brandon, why don't you come and be a partner for a second? If this front hand is pushing into me, I'm gonna just do a simple block. I'm gonna slip and come up to the outside here. At the same time, I'm gonna shoot my backhand across this way, and I'm gonna start to reach around behind. Now I'm gonna pull the body in, and I'm gonna bring my other hand across the back too, and I like to go ahead and grab on, and I can help pull in my hands here, which is really close to here. We're gonna call this my X block. I'm gonna take the wrist bone, I'm gonna drive this into large intestine 18, which is the straight in to the side of the neck, and it's a straight in pressure point attack. We'll come into here, I collapse them in, and I collapse them down this way, and all I want to do is roll and pull this in. Now Brendan's taller than me, and it actually works out just fine. I can slip in right into here, I hook right in, large intestine 18, and I'm gonna start just pulling in right away. I just pull him down, and I'm gonna even drop back. And when I drop back and keep pulling, he gets nice and low and it's easy to reach. So I don't wanna stay up here and apply his technique over my head. I wanna draw in, and then if I give a little space when I pull him, his body will even drop a hair lower, and it makes him easy to manipulate from there. Once he's off balance, in here, now I can do whatever I want. If I make this hurt enough, all we're gonna do is start to direct him. I can talk to him, I can tell him, kneel down, sit down. Now let's walk him right down the ground and let him sit, and then I can do whatever I have to from that position. All right, guys, let's give it a try. Reach. Remember, once you come in, don't just reach one and start trying to do it one-handed. Get one, and then bring the other one right away. Okay. And dig in, get this bone in there, and then you're gonna scoop it. You're gonna start low, and I like to come high, and I like to just draw it down and then roll it in, and you're twisting that pressure point, applying pain into it. There we go, yellow response that time. And lock him in there. This arm should press up in the side of his own throat. And you almost create, part of a side choke coming in this way, and you collapse him in there and lock him tight. Okay. Yeah, don't get too deep. You want to get that bone right in the side of the neck so you can grind on it. There you go. Now, you being so much taller, you're a perfect candidate for using triple warmer 17. Okay, I don't know. That's right underneath the ear. Yep, it's right in here. So if I'm working with Josh, I'll do it so you can see. So as I come in here and I slip, now we're going to be right up into this point, and I'm going to start with the wrist bone right in here, and I'm going to turn this way. I can come here, and it starts to lift them. All right, so that way you don't have to drop quite as low. Now you can pull large intestine 18 in, and then as you rotate, if I just use my body and I sort of pull him up, he'll come up that way too. So don't be afraid. Once you apply pressure, go ahead and you can start to move him as you need to, so you can walk him or move him as you want.
This crushing is down at that point.
But I know you're fine, but he's also down here. He looks uncomfortable. So if he was a little more upright, he'd be in a little better balance point. There you go. Yeah, and now are you a little more comfortable that way? Okay, good. And then you could walk them from there.
I play it this way.
Yep, there you go. More straight into the side of the neck.
Yeah, I'm more inclined just to come all the way in and do a triangle. It just feels more natural to me.
You've just done it. You're used to doing this choke a lot more.
Yeah.
But by coming into here, I get the reaction. It's about 10 times as fast. I don't have to choke them out. I can just apply pressure and start to move.
Well, no, I definitely understand the benefits of both.
All right, good. This move is great. It works easy, it's quick, it's a nice smooth entry. Bypass the hand and slip inside and start into that defense, that attack. You know, Greg, can I borrow you for a second? Greg being a lot taller than me, this can illustrate a point a little bit. If he's reaching in, now, as we're coming in, if I start in this move, for whatever reason, I'm having a hard time reaching. I mean, I can reach pretty easy. One is I have to get close enough. If I start this technique from back here at the end of his wrist, I can't reach. So make sure when you do this, I inside counter and I slip. I keep this hand up, protect my face as I'm sliding in, and then I start to reach around behind. If you need to get somebody lower, I mean, you can come in and start your inside counter, tug, pull, reach, inside counter, strike the knee, drop them down this way. There's other things you can do to drop somebody down to your height level. If it's getting too hard to reach, do something else. As you're starting to hear, step on the outside, start to roll the body down this way. That gives you also time, and he's lower, I can step inside, and now it's easy to come up. But just remember, a lot of times it's just a matter of getting deep enough. So get used to the distance and the space, and when this happens, if I react out here, I can't do anything. I need to work on this tight slip, so I'm moving all the way inside, and now I collapse back in and can apply a technique. Thanks, Greg. So there you go. Lots of different things to try. It's a very good technique. It works fast and it works very smooth. Thanks. Back to Scott.
You're looking for involuntary body motion from your partner, and this is where having a good partner is essential. If their feedback is realistic, you'll develop a good feel for your techniques. However, if their feedback is overly responsive, you won't develop the proper sensitivity. On the other hand, if they offer more resistance than one should reasonably expect from an attacker who is surprised by a technique, you may end up with unnecessary injuries to either your partner or the poor sap who tries to attack you. We want to know if you've ever used non-combative techniques to avoid a fight. Send email to explorer@martialartsexplorer.tv. For Martial Arts Explorer and Michael KLINEPIER, I'm Scott Combs.